Sup guys, it's been a while since we last did one of these, but of course there's still a lot of stuff going wrong in the gaming industry, and I'd like to give my opinion on it. And this time around, let's talk about digital pre-orders. Let's take a look at some of the most obnoxious examples, find out why they are inherently anti-consumer, and why you shouldn't pre-order. Ever. Okay, so first I think it's important to draw attention to the emphasis here. I am talking about digital pre-orders. Because you see, many eons ago, way back in the Dark Ages, people used to go out and buy physical copies of games. Shocking, I know. And even back then, pre-ordering was a silly thing to do, but at least there was a point to it. Because on launch day, there would only be X amount of available copies. So if you wanted to play a game on the day of its release, you would often have to pre-order it or literally camp outside a store. Otherwise, you'd run the risk of not getting a copy early on, and you would have to wait several days or weeks until the next batch of copies comes to your local distributor. But nowadays, pretty much all forms of media are going digital. That goes for movies, music, books, and especially games. For better or worse, physical copies are dying out, and digital downloads make up the vast majority of game sales. Scarcity isn't a thing anymore, so the only point that there ever was to pre-ordering is gone now. You don't have to worry about the company running out of copies. If you want to buy a game, you can just do so on launch day and download it right away. Okay, so there's no point to it, but why is it bad? Well, there's a multitude of reasons why it's bad. But the most important one is, at the time when you usually get to pre-order, you will not have access to any real information about the game. Oh, but what do I mean, no real information? Of course there's real information. There's the trailer and that behind-the-scenes development video and all the marketing materials and the screenshots. Exactly. There is all the material that has been carefully crafted and controlled by the company trying to sell you the product. I think it's easy to see why we shouldn't blindly trust that information. And that's why pre-ordering is dumb. You're buying a product that you know nothing about based solely on promises of the company. But why? Why do publishers even want you to pre-order so badly? Well, it's not just to get some early cash and boost their statistics. There's other reasons far more sinister than that. You see, when you pre-order, you're making a choice. You're basically saying, buying this game is a good decision and it's worth my money. And if you're listening to this, you are most likely a human being. And as such, you don't want to make bad decisions, you want to make good decisions. And we'll go to great lengths to prove to ourselves that the decisions we made are good. That's where confirmation bias comes in. That means you are more likely to seek out information that confirms that yes, buying this game was a good choice. We are very quick to accept information that aligns with our beliefs. Whereas if information goes against what we believe, we are much more skeptical of it. So that in turn means if any negative coverage surfaces, you are much more likely to dismiss it now that you've already pre-ordered. You're locked into this decision. You are very unlikely to cancel a pre-order because that would mean that you have made a bad choice. And in the best case, you even help to build hype for them. And companies will go to great lengths to get you to pre-order. This might start with additional merchandise, bonus artworks, a small discount. Okay, fair enough. But they will use far more devious tactics too. Blatant false advertising, exclusive content, access to the game before any of the regular customers. Let's take a look at some of the most obnoxious pre-order schemes during the past few years. And for the first example, we need to look no further than everybody's favorite, The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, spoiler alert for that hunk of junk, by the way. So within the first few hours of that game, the main character of the first game, Joel, gets killed off unceremoniously. Anyone that's played the first game could tell you that that would not sit well with the audience. And Naughty Dog knew that too, which is why the trailer for it was deliberately cut in a way to make it seem as if Joel was a big part of the story. But that's not so bad. I could sweep that under the rug as unethical, clever marketing. If only it had ended there. Because what happened additionally is this. Within the game there are several flashback scenes where you will see a younger Joel and a younger Ellie. And in the trailer, young Joel and young Ellie within these scenes were replaced with their older models to make it seem as if these events were happening at the current time. So this further strengthened the belief of the fans that yes, Joel will be a big part of this game, which is simply not true. Not to mention that entire scenes were changed. Because there is another instance where a hand grabs Ellie by the shoulders, and when she turns around, it's Joel telling her, "Oh, did you think I would let you do this on your own?" And in the actual game, there's also a hand grabbing her by the shoulder, but when she turns around, it's Jesse saying that exact same line. That was deliberate false advertising. The story was not being rewritten in such a major way this close to release. At the time this trailer came out, Naughty Dog absolutely knew that Joel would not be the character in this scene in the final game. And yet they chose to release that trailer in order to make people think it would be another story about Joel and Ellie, and for the sole purpose of pushing pre-orders and selling copies. And you know what's pretty much just as bad? Fake E3 trailers. Anybody remember the quote-unquote gameplay trailer for Anthem? Or how about Watch Dogs? The E3 trailer for Watch Dogs looked amazing. Everybody was blown away by how gorgeous it looked. And so of course people pre-ordered it because the game sounded interesting and it looked absolutely stunning. And what did the consumer get in the end? A major graphical downgrade. But of course the marketing material up to the very end showed these gorgeous graphics that we would never get. But in this case, it gets even worse, because if you pre-ordered the game, you got additional single-player missions. That's right, bonus content created prior to release that you will only receive if you give them your money before you have a chance to get any actual information on the game. Isn't that just wonderful? And don't even get me started on all the different pre-order editions that existed for that game. You need an actual spreadsheet to figure this out. And on the note of exclusive bonus content, let's travel back in time a little and have a look at Mass Effect 3. Because the pre-order bonus for that was additional gear and rifles that are far stronger than the base version that you will have at the start of the game. And if you want to ruin your game experience with overpowered gear, then so be it, all power to you. But the thing is, if you pre-ordered the collector's edition of Mass Effect 3, you would also get the From Ashes Day 1 DLC. And that is huge and a punch in the gut to every Mass Effect fan. Because you know what that pre-order bonus / Day 1 DLC includes? 2 additional missions and another squad member. Now squad members in Mass Effect are already a huge deal. They make up a big part of your experience. But not only was this some squad member, this was a living and breathing Prothean. If you don't know what that means, just know that it's a big fucking deal. The Protheans are a race that is believed to be extinct, and basically all the events unfolding from Mass Effect 1 and onwards are caused by a Prothean artifact. And you will encounter their technology all throughout the game, so having a living, breathing member of that species in the game in general is a huge deal. But hiding him behind a paywall in Day 1 DLC? Give me a break. So suddenly the worst of two worlds comes together. Day 1 DLC and digital pre-orders. Development time and money have been spent on creating content that you as the consumer are not getting when you buy the finished product. And now they are effectively holding this bonus content hostage to make you pay money for the product beforehand. A product of which you basically know nothing about. All the material you've seen up until this point is one that has been carefully curated by that company itself. You don't know what's in there in the end. You don't know how buggy it will be. You can't know. And that's what they want. They want you to put money down beforehand, so now you're invested. You're more likely to seek out positive coverage due to confirmation bias. You're more likely to ignore flaws. And in the best case, you'll even be a little recruitment tool, because with confirmation bias often comes the need to justify yourself to others. So you'll speak positively about it to your friends. You'll speak positively about that product that you haven't even seen yet. That is a problem, and that should not happen. Now, if you ask me, those were already some pretty good examples of pre-order shenanigans, and I wish we could stop there. But it gets worse. Because next we got hit by tiered pre-orders, as it so happened in the 2013 remake of Tomb Raider. A great game that was tainted by its pre-order scheme. So how this tiered pre-order scheme works is, initially the first tier will be unlocked, and then the customer base is required to hit a certain threshold of pre-orders, upon which point the second tier will be opened. And then if even more people pre-order the third tier, and so on and so on. And I was honestly shocked when I saw this. I was lost for words. That companies would be this shameless. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. This is basically saying, hey customer, remember that game you pre-ordered that you know nothing about? Why don't you get all your friends to pre-order it too, so you get bonus rewards? This is effectively trying to turn your consumer into a recruitment tool, because they benefit from it too, right? So now you have these people that pre-ordered something, the quality of which they can't guarantee, and they are now trying to get their friends and acquaintances to buy it too, although they have no idea if that product will be any good. This system is ridiculous. First, you screw your customers over by making them pay for something that they've never seen, and then you try to get them to lure others in to do the same thing. And once again, if you thought it couldn't get any worse, it can, and it did. Next, let's take a look at the most anti-consumer pre-order scheme to ever exist, and I really hope that is a limit that will never break. Let's take a look at Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Because what they cooked up for this one is quite frankly insane. So as you can see, for this we once again have a tiered pre-order, but this is odd. Why are there several choices? If you're reading it, you might think, oh, augment your pre-order. That fits the game's theme with augmentations and all. And for every tier, I can choose my reward. Choice is good, right? Well, while I usually advocate for choice, in this case, I just can't. Because this isn't choose what you want to have, this is choose what you least mind missing out on. This is you, the customer, missing out on almost every tier. This makes it effectively impossible to get the entire content in the first place. So you reach tier 1 and then you choose, okay, which 2 out of 3 are you okay with not getting? And then if you look at tier 3, extra in-game mission. Oh great, pre-release bonus DLC. Once again, content that exists prior to the launch of the game that is being cut to throw it into the pre-order as exclusive content so that more people buy the game sight unseen. And as if exclusive Day 1 DLC, tiered pre-orders and the guarantee to miss out on content weren't bad enough. We also have tier 5. Early release. If you give us your money beforehand, you get to play the game before anyone else. Truly, this pre-order is the pinnacle of anti-consumerism. Thankfully, and I really do mean thank God for that. In this case, the pushback from the customer base was so huge that the whole pre-order scheme got changed. But let the buyer beware. They try it once, they'll try it again. And that's why we have to make sure to push back immediately. The other examples that we've seen are already unacceptable. Honestly, digital pre-orders altogether should just be thrown out the window. But it is most certainly our duty to at least push back against pre-orders that are as anti-consumer as this. And that's about it for this one. My thoughts on digital pre-orders. Let me know what you think about it. Though I will say it's gonna be hard to convince me that there is anything good about digital pre-orders at all. And this is Evolutionz signing out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.